Yeah.
So this is an incredible resource, first of its kind.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for mast cell,
Yeah.
And very needed in today's world. So maybe let's start there. What inspired you to put this together?
You start.
Okay, so I think what Luca and I both share is that histamine issues are a part of both of our journeys. And I started exploring this after seeing clients who were struggling with histamine issues, and they had a diagnosis of something called mast cell activation syndrome. That is sometimes shortened to MCAS, so that's an acronym that's used. And that, as Luca has suggested, there's that little rabbit hole that you go down
It's not very little.
It's a big rabbit hole, yeah.
for research. And I'm a bit of a research geek. And I'm also, not only am I a clinical practitioner, but I'm an educator. So in order to educate, I have to really understand these things in a way that I can also explain them to people.
Yeah.
So I was doing lots and lots of research, and I'll let Luca share her story, but we were kind of starting to know about each other in the field of nutrition, and we were here at the Light Cellar.
Oh.
You don't know this story? I don't think you
No,
know this story.
okay.
So
Wow.
we decided to write this book at an event that you held. Held, and I think it was...
It was a networking.
It was a networking
Right.
event.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
amazing. Oh, that's
we've
so
been
great.
doing our little networking thing,
Yeah.
and I went up to Luca and I said, Luca, do you want to write a book together?
And I was
very
caught
forward
in the
of you.
moment. It was very forward. And I was there like, write a book? Lucas, say no. Don't write a book. That's a lot of work. You are essentially lazy. Okay, I'm not really actually lazy. But I thought, but it's Tracy Reed. Like, say yes to Tracy. So I said yes. And then, it took off from there.
Amazing.
And, we both come at it from different points of view. I didn't realize so many of my clients actually had histamine issues.
Right.
And I didn't know it was a thing. And I didn't understand it until I had to figure it out for myself. And it was one of those, I was at a cooking conference, or weekend cooking for the GAPS protocol.
Yeah.
Down in Colorado, and somebody at the event said, oh, it sounds like you have histamine issues. And it was the first time I heard the word. I'd already graduated from CSNN. I had gone down the rabbit hole of the gut health piece and all these other things, and was doing all the right things, big quotation marks, and wrecked a few pairs of pants in the interim because I have histamine issues, as it turns out. And so when somebody said to me, you have histamine issues, I thought, what? Let us go down the rabbit hole. And rabbit hole it was, and it was a rabbit cave, actually.
Right.
And so when Tracy said, do you want to write a book? I thought, well, actually this is going to be really good for me, because I'm like Tracy, like if I have somebody who has an issue, I'm going to research the pants off of everything going on in order to understand what's happening and figure out how to put pieces in place. So I thought, oh, this is going to benefit my clients and me, of course. But because I had already started to figure out the histamine piece, I thought, oh, well, yes, of course I will. Like, it was very obvious to me. And so then we said yes.
Cool.
And there's one thing I want to pull out of Luca's story. So she talked about the gut health piece, and she and I shared this experience on our journeys, where we were doing GAPS specifically. And so GAPS really emphasizes meat stock, bone broth, and a lot of fermented foods.
Yeah.
And for me, it was the fermented foods that were kind of the red flag. So I was doing them all. I was doing, yogurt and kefir and kvass and culturing like any vegetable you could possibly culture. And I was developing new symptoms that were not pleasant. I was developing nerve tingling down one of my legs and urinary urgency, which for those of you who aren't familiar, that's when you almost pee your pants because you have to pee so urgently. And so I was pretty embarrassed to talk about that at the time. Now I talk about it a lot because I need people to recognize that this is one of the potential symptoms. And for Luca, it was the bone broth.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. And so for me, it was a bit more gradual. Luca's was like a fairly abrupt explosion.
Yeah. So it's there's urinary urgency and there's bowel urgency.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 And I don't know if urgency covers it. Yeah.